Welcome to the VC3 News Update. I am Shanad Hackshaw with the top headlines. Police here have begun investigations into a mass shooting in capital Kingstown, which occurred on Wednesday, July 19. A police report says that about 8 p.m., the Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force responded to a report of a mass shooting in the Harbour Club area of Kingstown. Investigations revealed that 5 persons were fatally wounded. The police processed the scene and are carrying out further investigations into these shootings and their offences. The members of the Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force have expressed condolences to the relatives and friends of the deceased persons in last evening's shooting incident and other victims of homicide in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The police is now soliciting the assistance from anyone with information that can lead to the arrest and conviction of the person or persons who have committed these crimes and other crimes to provide police with such information. The information can be sent via telephone number 911-999-457-1211 or 456-1810 or with any police officer who you are comfortable communicating with. The police have assured that the information would be held with the strictest of confidence. Additionally, there are laws in place in SVG to give evidence without identities being revealed. This can be done by virtue of the Witness Special Measures Act. Meanwhile, amateur footage of the aftermath has been circulating on social media of the mass shooting, where a 13-year-old boy is among the latest homicide victims here. This was reported by the country's acting Prime Minister Montgomery Daniel this morning, as he, the Commissioner of Police, and Attorney General Grenville Williams, along with other high-ranking officials from the police force and cabinet, held an emergency press briefing. Last evening, 6 individuals were shot in the area of Harbour Club in Kingstown. Of those 6 individuals, 5 were killed and 1 remains in hospital up to press time. According to the acting Prime Minister, the community was last night terrorized by gun violence. According to him, more than one of these individuals had survived previous attempts on their life.
Last night, our communities were terrorized by unprecedented gun violence. As many of you know, 5 persons are dead, including a 13-year-old boy, and 1 individual remains hospitalized. Among the persons killed are individuals who had survived previous attempts on their own lives. We extend our deepest sympathies, our deepest condolences to the families of the victims of these senseless acts. However, we are still gathering all of the facts. The police are still in the early phases of their investigations. In the coming days, we will uncover the reasons and persons behind these barbaric acts, and we will follow the facts wherever they lead.
Minister Daniel said that he has convened an emergency meeting of the police force in order to discuss the response to reduce the space in which criminal elements operate.
I have convened an emergency meeting of the police force, and we have discussed far-reaching responses designed to reduce the space in which criminal elements can operate. While I cannot reveal operational or tactical details, rest assured that our law enforcement will be robust, engaged, and proactive in their handling of this outbreak. The police and all border control personnel have been put on high alert. However, make no mistake, the police cannot act alone in this endeavor. All right-thinking Vincentians are united in outrage and in resolve to defend our people. Communities must cooperate with law enforcement to share information and shun this creeping culture of violence.
Daniel said it is time for careful investigation and a resolute response. He added that criminal elements will not make the Vincentian public prisoners to fear. He said the public would be updated as the investigation continues. At the same press briefing, the Commissioner of Police, Colin John, revealed the identities of the 5 individuals that were killed last evening.
The police received reports of several gunshots in the area of the Harbour Club, Kingston, in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. When responded, 4 persons were met at the scene that they appeared to be dead, and 1 person was sent to the Milton Cato Memorial Hospital. At the end of the night, 5 persons were pronounced dead by the doctor. Dead are Lamont Hector of Paul's Avenue, Dondre Hillocks of Longwall/Belmont, Jamal Bob of Utley Hall, Ricky Taylor of Longwall, and Kashi Primus of Longwall.
The commissioner further stated that the matter has been fully investigated. He said they have intensified their methods to bring criminals to justice.
The matter is currently being investigated. We also receive intel about possible reprisals, and that is something that we are taking very seriously. We are also taking this shooting or these fatalities very seriously, as we do with every crime, especially serious crimes within St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We have already and would continue to intensify our efforts to ensure that the criminals, they are brought to justice. We would be utilizing tried and tested methods in order to make sure that the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, they're not only safe, but the perception that they are safe. Because as we know, in a lot of cases, the perception is worse than the reality. And we have to ensure that persons of St. Vincent and the Grenadines and its visitors, we ensure that they are safe within St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
In the press release from the Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force, the organization says that there is also information being circulated of other shooting incidents in SVG last evening, but noted that that information was checked out and found to be false. The police have confirmed that there were no shootings in Utley Hall, Camden Park, Fairburn Pasture, or any other part of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Persons are advised to stop spreading and circulating false information. In additional news, the Prime Minister, Dr. Afghan Sams, and the Leader of the Opposition, Dr. Godwin Friday, have spoken out in regards to the spate of violence that has recently rocked St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Last evening, according to a report from the Commissioner of Police, 5 individuals were fatally wounded in the area of Harbour Club, Kingstown. This country's Prime Minister, Dr. Afghan Sams, who also holds the portfolio of Minister of National Security and is currently in Morocco, early this morning expressed his shock and horror at the killings, which include the death of a 13-year-old boy. He said the police have ramped up their activities and are on high alert. He also urged the public to remain calm.
The first thing I want to say, without revealing details about the operational and tactical plans of the police, to say that the police have ramped up their activities, they're on alert, high alert, and so too the border control agencies, Customs and Immigration, the Coast Guard. I'm urging our people to be calm, not to panic. We are, over the next hours and days, we will get to the bottom of this. The police has some leads, and we are looking at all different angles.
Dr. Gonsalves went on to say that the fascination with guns is a toxic mix, which we see in the current outcome.
We are all at one with this fascination with guns and its mixture with drugs and greed and other vanity issues. The toxic mix that we see, the results here. Clearly, we would wish to see whether there's any external involvement, the nature of that external involvement, if any. But to indicate that I personally and the government and the police take very seriously the security of our country, the citizen security. And there's a raft of measures which we are implementing further to those which were taken before. And you will see their manifestation.
Meanwhile, the leader of the opposition, Dr. Godwin Friday, while speaking on the issue of violence this morning on radio, said that as a society, we have become too comfortable with the current wave of crime in SVG. He expressed his condolences to the families of the deceased and also his shock and disgust at the perpetrators of the crime. Dr. Friday also called on the government to act.
This is unprecedented. And we get the same tepid response from the government, as though this is some passing thing. It is not a passing thing. It's getting worse every day. And the warnings are not heeded. The calls for action are not heeded. The Prime Minister, I heard in a statement recently, overnight, seems to be fitting it into his busy schedule. When the people in this country are retreating into their homes, they're afraid to go to public places. Because it's not just the fact that people are being killed to hold. It's the way in which it's being done. It happens anywhere. Somebody coming off of a bus, a businessman coming out of his place of business in a community like Bekwai.
The 5 deaths last night bring the murder toll in this country dangerously close to that of last year. Thus far, there have been 35 homicides to date. In more local news stories, a report entitled "They Can Harass Us Because of the Laws, Violence and Discrimination Against LGBT People in St. Vincent and the Grenadines," which is 58 pages long, exposed the sexual violence, professional harassment, domestic violence, homelessness, physical and verbal abuse, and bullying that sexual and gender minorities experience under the shadow of discriminatory legislation. According to the report, persons who are close to LGBT persons, such as family members, neighbors, co-workers, classmates, and instructors, as well as complete strangers and police officers, are all at fault for mistreating them. 6 nations in the Western Hemisphere still prohibit homosexual sex, including SVG. Buggery or anal sex is punishable by up to 10 years in jail, and gross indecency with another person of the same sex by up to 5 years. In the sexual offenses part of the penal code, which is usually only used to punish crimes like rape, incest, and sexual assault, these rules single out consenting gay intercourse. Although there haven't been any recent instances of convictions for consenting homosexual sex, the laws stigmatize LGBT individuals and prevent them from achieving complete equality. The government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines is required under international human rights treaties it has ratified to safeguard everyone's right to life and security, freedom from abuse and discrimination, housing, employment, and education. This obligation extends to the LGBT persons as well. Multiple rights such as the freedom from discrimination, the right to privacy, the right to legal protection against arbitrary and unlawful interference with or attacks on one's private and family life, as well as one's honor, safeguard consensual sexual encounters. And finally, today, Thursday, July 20, the Ministry of Tourism, Civil Aviation, Sustainable Development and Culture hosted the first in a series of national community tourism consultations. The event, which was held at the Methodist Church Hall in Kingstown, sought to provide a forum for stakeholders to discuss tourism development issues and to further sensitize Vincentians about the transformation of the tourism and hospitality industry in SVG. The Minister of Tourism, Carlos James, the Minister of Agriculture, Suboto Caesar, the Minister of Finance, Camila Gonçalves, the Managing Director of the Eastern Caribbean of Sandals Resorts International, Mr. Winston Anderson, and the President of the SVG Hotel and Tourism Association, Mrs. Kim Halbish, all made presentation at today's consultations. Representatives from governmental and business sector agencies, as well as major tourism partners, attended the National Community Tourism Consultation. The consultations will continue in several communities across SVG until November 2023. Those are our local news stories. Continue watching on Channel 114 for regional and international news and the VC3 Sports Update, which you listen on to.